Right now, at this very moment, one of the most dangerous winter storms in years is forming over the central United States. And what makes this different from every other storm you have heard about? This one is targeting areas that rarely see winter weather, areas where people are not prepared, where infrastructure is not built for ice and snow. We are talking about Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, and the Carolinas. The question is not if this storm will hit. The question is, are you ready for what is coming? In the next 25 minutes, I am going to show you exactly where this storm will strike, when it will arrive in your area, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to protect yourself and your family. Because this is not just another weather event. This is a multi-day catastrophe that could leave millions without power, trap people in their homes, and create life-threatening conditions across 12 states. Here is what you are going to learn. At minute 5, I will reveal the exact timeline for when the worst conditions hit each major city. Stay with me because you need to know if you have 24 hours or 48 hours to prepare. But first, let me give you the numbers that emergency officials are looking at right now. Numbers that should make every single person in the southern United States pay attention. This storm system will impact over 70 million Americans. That is 1 in 5 people in this country. The National Weather Service has already issued warnings covering an area larger than the entire state of Texas. We are looking at snowfall totals that could reach 12 to 18 inches in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Ice accumulation in Dallas-Fort Worth could exceed half an inch. Do you know what half an inch of ice does to power lines? It snaps them like toothpicks. Temperature anomalies show areas running 20 to 25 degrees below average. That means places that were in the 60s and 70s just days ago will plunge into the teens and 20s. And it is not just the cold, it is the duration. This storm will last between 24 and 72 hours, depending on your location. Now, here is your first reward for staying with me. I want to tell you something that the mainstream weather reports are not emphasizing enough. This storm has what meteorologists call a dual cold air source. That is extremely rare. You have Arctic air funneling down from central Canada at the same time. Another surge of cold air is being pushed east of the Appalachian Mountains. These two systems are working together, creating a pocket of freezing temperatures that will trap moisture and turn it into ice and snow across the entire southern tier of the country. Why does that matter to you? Because dual cold air sources mean this storm will not weaken as it moves. Most winter storms lose intensity as they travel south because they run out of cold air. Not this one. This storm will actually strengthen as it moves eastward, picking up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and combining it with Arctic temperatures. Think about what happened during the winter storm of February 2014. South Carolina, Georgia, and parts of North Carolina were paralyzed. Power was out for weeks in some areas. Tree limbs coated in ice crashed through roofs. Roads became skating rinks. People were trapped in their homes without heat, without electricity, without running water because frozen pipes burst everywhere. That storm caught people off guard. This one does not have to. But here is the twist that nobody is talking about. The models that weather forecasters use, the European model, the GFS model, even the new AI guidance systems, they have all been trending colder over the last 48 hours. That means the worst-case scenario keeps getting worse. Areas that were forecast to get rain are now forecast to get freezing rain. Areas forecast for freezing rain are now showing sleet and snow. The safety margin is disappearing. Let me paint you a picture of what Friday afternoon looks like. This is when it begins. Snow starts breaking out across Oklahoma. Light at first, but along the Red River you start to see a wintry mix developing. Arkansas sees the same thing, winter mix and snow spreading across the state. By Friday evening, the storm intensifies. An ice storm develops across the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. We are not talking about a little bit of ice. We are talking about a coating that will make every surface dangerously slick. This ice storm extends west and east from Dallas, reaching all the way into the Arklatex region, that is Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas all at once. Southern Arkansas gets hit, northern Louisiana gets hit, western Mississippi gets hit, and on the northern edge of this system, you have what forecasters call good old-fashioned snow. Cold, dry, heavy snow that will accumulate fast. By Saturday morning, you have raging snowstorms ongoing across most of Oklahoma. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is experiencing a mix of sleet and freezing rain. Models show this could be one of the worst ice events the area has seen in over a decade. Little Rock is right on the boundary. Depending on how the storm tracks, Little Rock could see all snow, or it could see the worst of the ice. That is a difference of inconvenience versus catastrophe. Memphis, Tennessee sits right on the boundary between freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Western Tennessee will experience a major winter storm. And here is the detail that should concern everyone in this region. This is not a quick 12-hour event. This is a 24 to 48-hour event, possibly even longer for certain areas. Saturday evening, the storm is still going strong. You think it is about to end, and then you get a secondary surge of moisture. This is what the models are showing. A reemergence of precipitation that just keeps the winter weather going. Cold air is still locked in at the surface. Temperatures are still below freezing. And now you have more moisture moving in on top of that. By Saturday night into Sunday, the system ramps up again. Northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas still dealing with heavy freezing rain. Snow continues all the way up into Missouri. The latest model runs show snow reaching into southern Illinois. This is remarkable. Southern Illinois does not typically see major snowstorms from Gulf moisture systems. Now, I promised you at the beginning that at minute 5, I would give you the exact timeline for when the worst conditions hit each major city. Here it is. This is critical information. Dallas-Fort Worth, the worst conditions begin Friday evening and continue through Saturday afternoon. Expect ice accumulation between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. Power outages are likely. Travel will be impossible. Oklahoma City, heavy snow begins Friday afternoon and continues through Saturday evening. Snowfall totals could reach 10 to 14 inches. Blizzard conditions are possible with wind gusts over 30 miles per hour creating near-zero visibility. Little Rock, Arkansas, the worst hits Friday night through Saturday night. This will be a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. The exact mix depends on a temperature difference of just 2 or 3 degrees. Either way, travel will be extremely dangerous. Memphis, Tennessee, major winter storm Friday night through Sunday morning. Ice accumulation could reach 1/4 inch with snowfall totals between 4 and 8 inches. This is a crippling combination. Shreveport, Louisiana, ice storm begins Friday evening and lasts through Saturday night. This is one of the areas forecast to see the most significant ice accumulation. Power outages could be widespread and long-lasting. Jackson, Mississippi, wintry mix begins Saturday morning and continues through Sunday. Ice accumulation between 1/4 inch and 3/4 of an inch is possible. This will devastate the power grid. Nashville, Tennessee, snow begins Saturday afternoon and continues through Sunday evening. Snowfall totals between 6 and 10 inches. Roads will be impassable. Birmingham, Alabama, freezing rain begins Saturday evening and continues through Sunday afternoon. Ice accumulation between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. Expect major disruptions. Atlanta, Georgia, this is where the forecast gets very concerning. Freezing rain begins Saturday night and continues through Monday morning in some areas. Models are showing ice accumulation that could exceed 1/2 inch. The last time Atlanta saw ice like this, the city was shut down for a week. Columbia, South Carolina, freezing rain begins Sunday morning and continues through Monday. Ice accumulation between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch is forecast. This is catastrophic ice accumulation. Charlotte, North Carolina, winter storm begins Sunday morning with a mix of sleet and freezing rain transitioning to snow Sunday afternoon. Total ice and snow accumulation could make roads impassable for days. Raleigh, North Carolina, similar timeline to Charlotte. Sunday morning through Monday, mix of winter precipitation with significant impacts expected. Now, why are we seeing this storm? What is actually happening in the atmosphere to create such a dangerous and unusual weather pattern? Let me break this down in a way that makes sense. Right now, over central Canada, there is a massive dome of cold Arctic air. We are talking about air temperatures at the surface in the single digits and below zero. A broad trough in the jet stream is acting like a funnel, channeling this Arctic air southward. At the same time, in the higher latitudes, you have what is called ridging, high pressure that is dislodging this cold air and forcing it south. Then, in the southwestern United States, near Baja California, you have a low pressure system. This is your moisture source. This low is going to get picked up by the trough of cold air, and it is going to spread moisture across the southern plains and into the southeast. But here is the key. Even though there there will be a ridge over the southern United States at 500 millibars, that is up in the atmosphere. At the surface where we live, you have cold, shallow Arctic air that is locked in place. This creates what meteorologists call overrunning. Warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico rises up and over the cold air at the surface. When that happens, you get freezing rain, lots of it, because the precipitation forms as rain up in the warmer air, but then it falls through the freezing air at the surface and instantly becomes ice when it hits anything: trees, power lines, roads, cars, everything. And remember that dual cold air source I mentioned earlier? One source is coming straight down from central Canada. The other source is developing east of the Appalachian Mountains through a process called cold air damming. This is when high pressure sits over the Atlantic and funnels cold air down the eastern side of the mountains. That cold air gets trapped and it just sits there, creating a shallow but very cold layer right at the surface. The combination of these two cold sources, plus the moisture from the Gulf, plus the duration of the event, that is what makes this storm so dangerous. Let me show you the pressure pattern because this tells the whole story. On Friday morning, you have high pressure over the northern plains reading 1054 millibars. That is a strong cold Arctic high. This is bringing brutally cold air southward. At the same time, pressure is lowering out west. That is your moisture surge. By Saturday, that high pressure positions itself over the Ohio Valley, and you can see the isobars, the lines of equal pressure. They start to buckle and squeeze together. That squeezing means strong winds. Those strong winds are funneling cold air southward, while at the same time, the low pressure system is riding up and over that cold air, spreading moisture everywhere. By Sunday, you have this juiced up low pressure system in the southeast with cold Arctic air locked in at the surface. The result? Overrunning precipitation falling as ice across a huge area. Temperature anomalies tell us just how extreme this is. On Saturday morning, temperatures will be running 20 to 25 degrees below average across the entire region. That is Barney purple on the weather maps. That is the kind of cold that kills unprepared livestock, that bursts pipes, that overwhelms heating systems. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, I understand the storm is coming, but what do I actually need to do? What steps can I take right now to protect my family? First, if you are in the impact zone, and that is basically from Texas to the Carolinas, you need to go to the store today, not tomorrow, today. Because by tomorrow, the shelves will be empty. Get bottled water, lots of it. Assume your pipes might freeze and burst. Get non-perishable food that does not require cooking. Canned goods, bread, peanut butter, crackers, granola bars. Get batteries, flashlights, and candles. Get a battery-powered radio or a hand crank radio so you can get weather updates even if the power is out. If you have a fireplace, get firewood now. If you have a generator, make sure it works and that you have fuel. Never run a generator inside your house or garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people during every winter storm. Charge every device you own. Phones, tablets, laptops, portable chargers, charge everything. Fill your car with gas. Do not wait. Gas stations cannot pump gas without electricity. Fill up your bathtub with water. You can use it for flushing toilets if your water stops running. If you take medication, make sure you have enough to last at least a week. Pharmacies might not be accessible. If you have elderly neighbors or family members, check on them. Make sure they have what they need. Offer to help them prepare. Bring your pets inside. Do not leave animals outside in this weather. They can freeze to death. Bring in any outdoor plants that you want to save. Disconnect and drain your garden hoses. Open cabinet doors under sinks to let warm air circulate around pipes. Let faucets drip slightly to prevent pipes from freezing. If you lose power and your house gets cold, close off rooms you are not using. Hang blankets over doorways to keep heat in one area. Wear layers. Wear a hat inside. You lose a huge amount of body heat through your head. If it gets really cold, you might need to sleep in one room with your whole family to share body heat. Do not use your stove or oven to heat your house. That is a carbon monoxide risk. Do not burn charcoal inside. That is deadly. Here is something most people do not think about. If the power is out for days, your refrigerator food will spoil. Your freezer will stay cold for about 48 hours if you do not open it. After that, you start losing food. That is why non-perishable food is so important. Now, let me address something that is on a lot of people's minds. Why is this storm happening now? Why is the South getting hit so hard? Is this climate change? Look, I am not a climate scientist. I am here to give you the facts about this storm and help you prepare. But I can tell you this. Winter storms in the South are not new. They happen. What makes this one different is the combination of factors all happening at once. The dual cold air sources, the Gulf moisture, the duration, the ice accumulation. That combination is rare, but it is not unprecedented. I have been doing weather forecasting for years, and I can tell you that some of the most powerful moments I have seen are when communities come together during disasters, when neighbors check on neighbors, when strangers help strangers, when churches open their doors as warming shelters, when people share their generators, their food, their firewood. That is when you see the light of Christ shining through people. So as you prepare for this storm, I want you to think about two things. First, what do you need to do to protect your own family? Second, who around you might need help? Now, let me give you an update on the eastern part of this storm because that is going to impact millions more people. After the storm moves through Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, it does not just disappear, it re-energizes as it moves into the Carolinas, Georgia, and parts of Virginia. And here is the concerning part. The models are showing that the eastern portion of this storm could actually be worse than the western portion in terms of ice accumulation. The National Weather Service has already issued preliminary warnings for the entire state of South Carolina. The entire state. When was the last time you saw that? They are calling for moderate to high impact across the state, with ice being the primary hazard. Georgia is looking at similar conditions. The Atlanta metro area, which has over 6 million people, could see ice accumulation between 1/4 inch and 3/4 of an inch. Do you remember the ice storm in Atlanta in 2014? The city was paralyzed. People abandoned their cars on the highways. It took some people 12 hours to drive 10 miles. Children were stranded at schools overnight. This could be that bad or worse. Charlotte, North Carolina is forecast to be right in the bullseye. Ice, then sleet, then snow. That progression means the ground will be glazed with ice first, then covered with sleet and snow on top. Cleanup will be extremely difficult. Roads will be dangerous for days. The Triangle area, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, same situation. These are cities that do not have large fleets of snowplows. They do not have the road treatment equipment that northern states have. When they get ice, everything stops. And here is something that people in the South need to understand. The infrastructure down here is not built for ice. Power lines are above ground, not buried like in colder climates. Trees still have leaves in some areas, which means more surface area for ice to accumulate on branches, which means more branches breaking and falling on power lines. Roads do not have the same freeze-thaw cycles that northern roads have, so they are not built with the same drainage. That means ice forms faster and stays longer. The models are showing this eastern portion of the storm lasting from Sunday morning all the way through Monday afternoon. That is a day and a half of continuous winter weather. Ice accumulation will build during that entire time. Let me read you what the National Weather Service says about 1/4 inch of ice accumulation. Small branches break. Power outages lasting several hours are possible. 1/2 inch of ice is a different story. Many trees and power lines are downed. Power outages last several days. 3/4 of an inch of ice, that is catastrophic. Most trees and power lines are downed. Power outages last for weeks. We are looking at forecasts that range from 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch across a large swath of the southeast. That means millions of people could be without power for days or weeks. Now, here is something I need to explain because it is crucial. Why is ice so much worse than snow? Snow is actually easier to deal with. You can plow snow. You can shovel snow. Your car can drive through a few inches of snow if you are careful. But ice? Ice is a totally different beast. When freezing rain falls, it is liquid until it hits a surface. Then it instantly freezes. It does not just sit on top of things. It bonds to things. It encases everything in a shell of solid ice. Power lines become encased in ice. The weight causes them to sag. The wind causes them to sway. They hit each other and snap, or they snap from the weight alone. Tree branches become encased in ice. A branch that normally weighs 10 pounds might now weigh 100 pounds. The tree cannot support that weight. Branches break. They fall on power lines, on houses, on cars, on roads. Some trees split completely in half. Roads become ice rinks. Not just icy, but literally sheets of solid ice. Your car has no traction, none. You can be going 5 miles per hour and slide into a ditch. You cannot stop. You cannot turn. It is incredibly dangerous. And here is what happens in the aftermath. Even after the storm ends, the ice remains. If temperatures stay below freezing, and they will for days after this storm, that ice does not melt. It just sits there, coating everything, making everything dangerous, making everything broken, making everything dark because the power is out. This is why I am taking the time to walk you through all of this. Because if you are not prepared, this storm could put you and your family in serious danger. Let me talk about something that does not get discussed enough. The mental and emotional challenge of being without power for days in freezing temperatures. It is hard. It is really hard. Your house gets cold. I mean really cold. Cold enough that you can see your breath inside. Cold enough that you do not want to get out from under your blankets. Cold enough that kids start crying because they are uncomfortable. You have no lights except flashlights and candles. The sun goes down at 5:30 or 6. That means you are sitting in the dark for 13 or 14 hours. It gets boring. It gets depressing. Kids get restless. Adults get stressed. You have no entertainment, no TV, no internet, no streaming. Your phone battery is dying and you are trying to conserve it in case of emergency. You are eating cold food out of cans. You cannot take a hot shower. The house feels dirty because you cannot vacuum or wash dishes properly. This is reality. This is what thousands of people are about to experience. And I am telling you this not to scare you, but to help you mentally prepare. Because if you know it is coming, you can handle it better. You can plan activities for kids, board games, coloring books, reading by flashlight. You can plan meals that are more enjoyable even if they are cold. You can prepare your mind to endure a few days of hardship. And most importantly, you can prepare your mind to endure a few days of hardship. You can plan activities that help pass the time and keep spirits up. There is something powerful about going through hardship together. When the distractions of modern life are stripped away, the TV, the phones, the internet, you are left with what really matters. Family, faith, community, love. I have talked to people who went through the ice storms of the past, and many of them say it was actually a blessing in disguise. Yes, it was hard. Yes, they were cold and uncomfortable, but they spent more time talking to their spouse than they had in months. They played games with their kids. They read to them. They had real conversations without distractions. Neighbors came together. They shared meals. They shared generators. They cleared fallen trees together. They checked on each other every day. They prayed together. Friendships were formed that lasted years. That is the silver lining in all of this. When disaster strikes, people show their true character. And more often than not, that character is good. People are kind. People are generous. People help each other. So yes, this storm is going to be hard, but we are going to get through it together. And on the other side, we are going to have stories of resilience, of neighbors helping neighbors, and communities coming back stronger than before. Now, let me give you some specific advice for different scenarios because everybody's situation is different. If you live in a rural area, you need to be extra prepared. Power restoration takes longer in rural areas because there are fewer customers per mile of power line. The utility companies focus on restoring power to the most people first. That means cities get power back before rural areas. You might be without power for a week or more. Make sure you have enough food, water, and heating fuel to last that long. If you live in an apartment or condo, you need to think about heating. If you lose power, your heat is gone. Many apartments are all electric, no gas backup. If your building has gas heat, it might still work if the gas lines are underground, but if it is electric heat, you need a backup plan. Space heaters are great if you have power, but without power, they are useless. Consider going to stay with family or friends who have better heating options. If you live alone, especially if you are elderly, please make sure someone knows to check on you. Give a family member or neighbor permission to come by every day. Make sure they have a key or know how to get in if you do not answer the door. Cold weather kills people every year, and many of those deaths are elderly people who are alone and cannot call for help. If you have young children, extra preparation is critical. Babies and toddlers cannot regulate their body temperature as well as adults. They get cold faster. Make sure you have warm clothes, blankets, and a safe way to keep them warm if the power goes out. Never use a generator or camp stove inside your house, even in the garage. Carbon monoxide kills babies fast. If you have medical equipment that requires electricity, oxygen concentrators, CPAP machines, dialysis equipment, you need a backup plan right now. Contact your medical equipment provider and ask about battery backup options. Contact your local hospital and ask about their emergency shelter plans for people with medical needs. Do not wait until the storm hits. If you are on well water, losing power means losing water. Your well pump requires electricity. Fill containers with water now. Fill your bathtub. Fill every pot and pitcher you own. You will need it. If you use a wood stove or fireplace for heat, clean out the ashes now. Make sure your chimney is clear. Get plenty of firewood and stack it somewhere it will stay dry. Wet wood does not burn well. If you have never used your fireplace, now is not the time to learn. Improper use of fireplaces causes house fires every winter. Let me talk about vehicles for a minute. If your car is low on gas, fill it up today. If the power goes out, gas stations cannot pump gas. Your car is also a heating source if things get really bad. You can run your car for 10 minutes every hour to heat up, then turn it off. Just make sure your exhaust pipe is not blocked by snow or ice, and make sure you are in a ventilated area. Never run your car in a closed garage. Carbon monoxide will kill you. Keep a winter emergency kit in your car. Blankets, flashlight, first aid kit, snacks, water, phone charger, ice scraper, small shovel. If you get stranded, these things could save your life. Now, I want to talk about something that might sound unusual, but I believe it is important. I want to talk about the psychological impact of natural disasters and how we can mentally prepare ourselves. Research shows that people who mentally rehearse emergency scenarios actually handle them better when they occur. By thinking through what could happen and how you would respond, you are training your brain to stay calm under pressure. So I encourage you to think through this storm. Visualize what you will do if the power goes out. Imagine how you will keep your family warm and fed. Picture yourself helping a neighbor who needs assistance. This mental preparation can make a real difference in how you respond when the crisis is actually happening. But also prepare yourself emotionally for the reality that this will be difficult. Accept that you might be uncomfortable for a few days. Accept that you might be bored or frustrated. When you accept these things ahead of time, they are easier to handle when they actually happen. Your brain is not shocked by the discomfort because you expected it. So, as this winter storm approaches, I want you to be prepared physically. Do everything I have told you to do. Stock up on food and water. Get batteries and flashlights. Make sure you have a way to stay warm. Check on your neighbors. Help those who need it. But I also want you to be prepared mentally. Make sure you have a plan for how you will handle extended power outages. Think through your backup options. Have conversations with your family about what you will do if certain scenarios happen. This kind of preparation reduces panic and helps everyone know what to expect. Now, let me give you the final timeline in the areas of greatest concern because we are running out of time and you need to know exactly what is coming. The storm begins Friday afternoon in Oklahoma and North Texas. By Friday evening, ice is accumulating in Dallas-Fort Worth. By Saturday morning, the storm is at its peak across Oklahoma, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and northeast Texas. This continues through Saturday evening. Saturday night, the storm shifts eastward. Western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama start seeing heavy winter precipitation. By Sunday morning, the storm is impacting Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, and starting to move into Georgia and the Carolinas. Sunday afternoon and evening, the Carolinas and Georgia are getting hit hard. Atlanta, Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh, all seeing significant ice accumulation. This continues through Sunday night and into Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, the storm finally begins to move offshore, but the damage is done. Millions are without power. Roads are impassable. Trees and power lines are down everywhere. It will take days or weeks to fully recover. The areas of greatest concern, where models are showing the highest probability of catastrophic ice accumulation, are Dallas-Fort Worth, Shreveport, Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Birmingham, Atlanta, Columbia, South Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. If you live in or near any of these cities, you are in the highest risk zone. But even if you are not in one of these cities, do not think you are safe. This is a massive storm covering 12 states. Impacts will be felt across the entire region. Let me close with this. I have been doing weather updates for a long time, and I do not say this lightly. This is a serious, dangerous, potentially life-threatening winter storm. It is going to cause widespread power outages, dangerous travel conditions, and significant disruption to millions of people's lives. But we are resilient. We have been through storms before, and we will get through this one. We have emergency services ready to respond. We have neighbors who will help each other. We have the knowledge and resources to prepare and survive. That is where our strength comes from. Not from avoiding hardship, but from facing it together, prepared and united. So prepare well, help your neighbors, stay informed, and know that on the other side of this storm, the sun will shine again, spring will come again, and we will have stories of resilience and community to share. I will have another update this evening with the latest model runs and any changes to the forecast. In the meantime, get prepared. Do not wait. The time to act is now. And remember, when you see your neighbor struggling, when you see someone who needs help, that is your opportunity to be a good neighbor, to show kindness and compassion, to demonstrate what it means to live in a caring community. May you stay safe. May you be protected through this storm. And may we all come through this stronger, more united, and more connected to our communities than we were before. This is not the end of our conversation. After this storm passes, we will talk about the recovery, the lessons learned, and how we move forward. But for now, focus on the next 72 hours. Focus on preparing. Focus on helping others. Focus on staying safe. You have got this. You are prepared. You know what is coming. You will get through it. Stay safe.